Hello everyone, welcome to Sharmit. In this session, we are going to talk about another very important topic related to reactive form, where we will continue the differentiation between set value and patch value. I'm sure that previously session you have already covered, where we talked about 4 parameters, and on the basis of those 4 parameters we differentiate the set value and the patch value. Now today's session is in the continuation of the same, where we are going to talk about 4 other parameters on the basis of which you can answer the proper difference between set value and patch value. But before we proceed further with this session, I would like to recommend you to please go and check out the previously released session first, because they all are in proper sequence and sync. So if you follow it sequentially, then it would be much more easier for you to understand the ongoing topic, because for time being we are just mainly focusing on how to use a reactive form with set value and patch value and their differences. And to make the things easier for you, I have already attached the Sharmit digital course book in the description box. There you will find more than 3000 plus free resources, which is available in both Hindi as well as English language. So at your own convenience you can consume the content and you can continue with it. Okay, alright, so let's get started. Here you can see currently I'm in app.component.html file, where I have noted down some headings, including the first heading, Angular course by Sharmit, and the second one is reactive form in Angular, set value versus patch value. Okay, now here from 5th point we have in previous session we covered 4 points, so now it's 5th point, and the first parameter on which we are going to discuss is a relationship with the form structure. Okay, so here we will talk the differences between set value and patch value on the basis of relationship with the form structure. So you can see here the first thing is set value. Set value, it has a tight coupling with the form structure. Okay, so here with set value it has a tight coupling with the form structure. Any changes in form control, nested form group or form array structure requires updating all set values called accordingly. Okay, so if there is any change, maybe in form control or maybe in nested form group or form array structure, so in these all situation it requires updating all set values calls accordingly. Okay, this makes maintenance harder in large or changing form. Okay, then we have patch value. Patch value has loose coupling with form structure, so you can add new form controls later, remove existing one, change nesting without breaking the existing patch value logic. So this is the second thing, that is patch value. Here we have loose coupling. So if you compare both of the things, then in set value we have tight coupling, and in case of patch value we have a loose coupling with the form structure. So you can add the new form control later. Let's say if you added 4 form controls and later you decided to add one more, so you can add it. Similarly, if there are 4 control existing and if you want to remove 2 controls from them, that is also possible here, because it is completely flexible. Okay, also if you want to change the nesting in the later go, that is also verifiable. So without breaking the any existing patch value logic, it will provide all these functionality, like you can add new form control later, remove the existing one, and also change the nesting. Okay, so with relationship with form structure, I think this part is clear. Like in case of set value, the coupling is tight and any modification might cause issues, and in case of patch value, coupling is loose, and here there is very less chance of error because we are allowed to add new form control and remove the existing one and also change the nesting conditions. Clear? So this is one of the parameter on the basis of which interviewer or examiner might ask you the question. Now moving ahead, we will talk about the next parameter, that is use in the real world application. So if we talk about real world application, so yes, both have their own use cases. It doesn't matter like if it is hard coupling or loose coupling, but both have their own use cases. So one by one we will go through it. The first one is set value. So in case of set value, it is commonly used when loading full form data from backend, displaying complete user profile, ensuring all the form fields are populated. Okay, so if you want that your all form fields should be populated before proceeding further, so in that case you will prefer to go with set value. If displaying the complete user profile is your agenda, for sure, then in that case set value is mandatory. Loading full form data from backend, yes, it is needful. So overall, if we talk about the example scenario, so fetching user details from API where every field is guaranteed, then in that case we will go with a set value. Now if we talk about the patch value, so it is commonly used for editing user profile, autofilling a single field, updating form based on user interaction. Example scenarios like update only the city after selecting a location. So let's say if there are 4 fields related to location, including country, state, city and zip code, and later you realize that you mentioned the zip code wrong and city wrong. So in that case what you can do, you are allowed to use patch value to update only the required 2 controls instead of affecting the all, because here it is allowed. But in case of set value it is not allowed, because there if you want to update something you have to update it for all the fields, not only for the pin code or city. So this is the whole sole difference between the set value and patch value when we are talking about the real world application. Okay, now moving ahead, we will talk about the next scenario, that is behavior with the nested form group, because we know that both set value and patch value can be utilized for the nested form group, right? So how they will react with the nested scenarios, let's go one by one and try to understand. The first one is set value. So it requires all nested groups, all controls in the nested groups, even one missing nested field result in an array. Okay, so due to any reason, if any of the form group is missing from the nested structure, then in that case it will cause the issue and generate the error. So all these conditions makes it harder to use it in deeply nested forms. So suppose you are working with the application where the form is deeply nested, so in that case it would cause a lot of issue, because there you are not allowed to use set value, because here in case of deeply nested structure, if you miss any of the group it will cause issues. Okay, the next we have patch value. So in case of patch value, yes, it allows, because it updates specific nested control. If you want to update specific nested control, you are allowed. Skipping unrelated nested group is also allowed. Suppose if there are multiple nested group and you want to skip any of the one, so you can skip that, and this condition makes it easier for complex forms. Okay, the next we have safety and maintainability. So in case of safety and maintainability, yes, set value and patch value both are there. In case of set value, you can say that it is safer for strict data control. So when you want to go with a strict data control where everything is fixed and prioritized, then in that case it is safer for the strict data contracts for set value. It is risky for frequently changing form. If your form is changing frequently, then it is risky. Errors are immediate and visible. Yes, if there is any kind of error in the system, so you will find it immediately even while writing the code. Okay, we discussed this in the last practical example where we covered both set value and patch value, right? Prior to this, there is one more theoretical session, and prior to that session there are 2 examples which we covered separately. So there also we discussed that while writing the code and missing one of the value, it was throwing the error. Okay, next we have patch value. It is safer for dynamic and evolving forms, so it reduces the chances of runtime crashes, preferred in the most real world application. So these are the all scenarios that help us to answer the question based on the differences between set value and patch value. So I think with this session we have concluded all the differences between set value and patch value. Also we have covered the 2 practical examples, so I suggest you to firstly do the practical example and then try to understand these points separately, because these pointers will help you to understand the concept more better. So yeah, that's all for today. See you in the next session with new topics. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.